John O'Naylor.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And it's great to see when you've done an inquiry in a select committee for it start to come through with recommendations that are a part of legislation. And I agree with the Chair who spoke earlier that I think it was a very constructive time that we had together as a committee working through the various submissions. We got submitters from all sorts of areas, obviously various political parties, different private citizens who had different views about improvements that could be made to the election process in New Zealand. And I found it personally a really interesting experience to hear the pros and cons, because often you hear at face value, you look at things and say, oh, well, that looks like a very good idea, and then you start to think about some of the ramifications of those ideas and think through the possible adverse as I say, consequences of those decisions. And I think it's been great to sort of tease those out through this process, and I look forward to when this returns to the committee as part of this electoral amendment bill, teasing those things out further. I think what has happened in this current iteration or review of the Electoral Act, and of course this will happen after every election, but I think in particular, it's been beholden on us this time around to make sure that we maintain the integrity of the voting system within our country, and I believe that we have done that, but also to explore some of the changing environment, some of the changing behaviour that's occurred around early voting, and also to acknowledge and reflect some of the changing technological aspects to our society as well. And I just want to draw the House's attention to a couple of those things at this particular stage of the legislation. For example, allowing electoral officials to be able to use an online enrolment checking function in voting places that enable real-time checking of voters' enrolment status. And I think that's a great outcome. That's just makes common sense when you think about it, that actually we haven't got people having the ability to perhaps go around different polling booths, try and cast a vote, and then you catch them out later on and have to go through a whole process. Being able to do it online and in real time clearly is a very good step. And I think there's a number of other technological aspects to this bill in terms of acknowledging the advanced technology, which are good as well. And in particular, finally, I just want to touch on a particular one that came up, was that party secretaries will have to be reappointed almost immediately if they leave during that during the election period. And I think that's critical, given that party secretaries are in effect the only ones that, when there is a breach of some kind, who are the ones that can legally be held accountable. So, Mr Speaker, I look forward to this returning to the Justice and Electoral Select Committee and the further debate that we'll have on this going forward.